Konnichiwa, Altminesからホストしているボブキャットです。よろしくお願いします。Hi, I'm broadcasting live from the Art Mines, and I've got my laptop here because I wanted to give some good thought to the video I'm making, and giving speeches and all that is hard, so I took notes. I hope you can forgive me. Forgive me, please. So, today I am cleaning my Ruger PC9 9mm carbine for the first time, and if you want a really good step-by-step video on how to do that, I will link the MrGunsnGear video in the description below that I followed along to figure out how the hell to do this. It's a really fantastic video, very clear, very concise, step-by-step, and hope I don't screw it up. So, but while I'm cleaning, I thought I'd take time to address some of the questions that, and I won't be describing what I'm doing step by step, I'm just going to do it, forgive me. But while I'm cleaning, I thought I'd take time to address some questions that I've been asked from things I've said on this channel, and I've been asked on this channel and forums elsewhere about some of my views on guns, especially now that I, as a gun owner, what's my feelings and takes on that. So, got my laptop here with some notes on screen to keep me from wandering too far. Got my fancy Ruger PC9 9mm carbine, which is empty. Nothing in the mag. Nothing in the chamber. So we're safe to work. So, let's go. So why was I against anyone besides the military and maybe cops owning firearms? Like SWAT teams and stuff. Because when you have something like this, these guys that can cause a lot of harm, widely distributed through the community, even if the vast majority of people like you and me are responsible and are very careful to minimize that harm, a great deal of unintended harm can still be done. And they will still be done by the malicious and the irresponsible. It's the "but criminals have guns" argument, and guns have proliferated so much that great harm is being done by a relatively small group of the gun-owning population, legal or otherwise. When I was younger, I thought that if we took guns away en masse, that the harm that would be done would eventually diminish, like it has in many, many places around the world. For example, Japan in 2014 had 6 gun deaths, 6 total in 2014, and no, not this one. And in that same year, America had over 39,000. Think about that for a minute. So, and in Japan, no handguns, period. And if you have a rifle or a shotgun, or if you have shotguns only, air rifles only, I'll link the article. There we go. I'll link the article specifically about that down below. But like, deaths are just pretty minimal down there. There were over 39,000 in the same year compared to 6. Japan killed that cancer before it spread. And I think it's probably too late for us. Maybe? There we go. Maybe? I don't know. Because guns are here already, right? Like, we can track sales with background checks and reports from manufacturers. But like, we can kind of get an idea of how many guns there are, and with but with ghost guns, you know, the ones you can, the 80% and all that stuff you can kind of finish yourself, who knows? And a lot of those are being used by criminals who have no business getting them. So how do we stop the average criminal from getting them? What a mess. But now I've added one more gun. A gun that I hope I will never, ever need. It is fun to practice with, though. A lot of fun. So, on my channel specifically, this is not going as smoothly as I predicted. On my channel specifically, user XWarp asked me some really good comments that really gave me pause in a great way. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm like calling out XWarp for any crap. I'm really grateful, honestly grateful, that they took the time to talk to me and took the time to ask these questions. Because the more questions that I have, the better I can think about things. Does that mean my views will change? Not necessarily. But anyway, and I'll put up screenshots here, assuming this video even works out at all. Criminals who use firearms in violent crimes, to quote them, criminals who use firearms in violent crimes, I believe, have no respect for human life, as many of them seem to be okay with the fact that their actions may bring death to them. To that I say, all of us, when we pick up a gun, which is designed to do shiny. When we pick up a gun, which is designed to do one thing, so to that I say, all of us, when we pick up a gun which is designed to do one thing, all of us take action which may bring death to us. Even if we're the good guys in a bad situation, other people, like responding cops, or even other good but situationally misinformed people, they may not know that. To them, we are just another guy with a gun. To use a gun, I think, to use a gun, how did I write this? To use a gun, I think, is to be ready to have one used against you. To kill is to be ready to be killed just as fast. That's not a bad thing, in my opinion. What can be done against a man that is not afraid to die? Like I said, when you pick up a gun, even if you're the good guy, not everybody knows that in this world. And it's not so readily identifiable. So if you think, oh, criminals have no respect for life, it's not so much that. It's whoever picks up a gun to use it in a situation, you better be ready to die yourself. And that's no matter what you're doing. That's just the way it is, in my perspective. And then XWarp continues with, where is it? There. With a two-part comment that I'm going to split up. And again, I'm really grateful because really it was a lot to think about for those like me who choose to stay armed. XWarp talking about me. I also noted the comment, do we need to have the right to access military platforms as civilians? They were quoting me. They continue, why should that even be a question? If you are a law-abiding citizen, then why would anyone need to be more concerned? Ask yourself this, could the reason that people think that civilians should not own military-style, their emphasis, military-style weapons, not be as concerned about the weapon as they may be about the appearance to equality to the military? That's a great question. So I kind of split it up. So first of all, this is, by the way, this is how you would change out the Ruger to Glock magazine. Just pop out the upper and take this and swap that out. First of all, military style and effectiveness are two different things. In trained hands, even this little bastard can put a lot of holes in things. So, but symbols are really important, yeah? Symbols are how we shape our understanding of things, right? For better or worse, your judgment notwithstanding, for better or worse, the American military is doing the most damage around the world, for better or worse. That's not a different subject, different video. For better or worse, the American military is doing the most damage around the world. Looking like something that does unpredictable damage is going to make a lot of people who want to live predictably undamaged lives very nervous, and understandably so. It's the same reason why I'm all about must-issue concealed carry laws, but I look real side-eyed at people who carry rifles to Starbucks. Sorry, I do. Sure. Pistol pins. There. This part first. Forgive me, I do want to get this right. There we go. To paraphrase Masad Ayub, and forgive me if I got your name wrong, dude. You're not a threat until you are. Like it or not, openly carrying a weapon is a threat by itself. Just openly carrying one. There we go. Openly carrying a weapon is a threat by itself. Especially if those weapons can be confused. Especially if those weapons can be confused with the damage dealers our armed forces. Openly carrying a weapon can be a threat unto itself, especially if that weapon you're carrying looks so much like those damage dealers our armed forces use really, really well. Because that makes you visibly so much closer to a threat than some asshole with something tucked under their shirt. You know, even if you're some asshole that doesn't know how to use it as effectively, like me, carrying a concealed weapon that you're trained to use will make you more effective and more dangerous than me, who's not terribly skilled with this. Although I'm safe with it, I'm not terribly skilled with it. But I will look carrying this way more threatening, and people will get way more uncomfortable than you with a race gun that can take off 5 hats from across the room, but it's under your shirt so nobody knows you have it. I hope that makes sense. I bet my donuts a sure shot with a race gun can do more harm than a spray and pray like me with a big scary rifle. Where was I? Too big. Smaller pin. There we go. So, ultimately, the point of the military is to keep us safe, right? So how can they do that if any bum like me can get their hardware without the training, the discipline, and the accountability that is supposed to go along with it? It could be argued by Second Amendment absolutists that I should be allowed to have anything the military does, right to bear arms, etc. But like, an irresponsible person with a tow missile can hurt a lot more people than an irresponsible person with a 9mm. That's kind of the difference. Or someone planting claymores on their property because they have a right to it. But, you know, their property is adjacent to a state park, and the borders between the two are sometimes not so clear. Having lived near a beautiful state park in northern Michigan, that was an easy border to cross from my property to that park. And someone, you know, tracking a deer or a turkey, or just, you know, photographing birds for scientific studies, they could very easily stumble onto my property, and I've got landmines because I have the right to, and then they're killed completely by accident with no intention of ill will towards me. So the next part of that question that X-Warp asked if you believe that civilian population should only be allowed inferior weapons to the military, do you really want more government control? This is fascinating to me, by the way. There we go. That's a slippery slope argument in both directions. Let me read my own fucking notes. It's a slippery slope argument either way, as both ways are really incompatible with the stability of our civilization. So either way won't happen. I could be wrong, but I don't think either way would happen. Letting everyone have access to the same destructive power of the military and civilization will be destabilized for the reasons I gave. Given how many guns there already are in America, it would take a violent military crackdown to search for and seize even half of them. There are millions and millions and millions of guns all around the country. Even here in beautiful Prince George's County, right near Washington, D.C., I know there's a ton of guns just in everyday people's homes. Everyday, normal, boring people. Nothing special, nothing fancy. But it would take a violent military crackdown to find and seize even half of them. There has to be some compromise, some limitation for allowing people to defend themselves from each other, but not allow the tools of massive damage out into the public where it will destabilize things. So easy to get distracted here. I'm also thinking about parts I'm going to replace. So, what about defending yourself from the government? I hear you cry. Long and short of it is, you can't. When the government has decided, when the government has decided you are too much of a disruption to the status quo, for whatever reason, you will be destroyed. Bolt carrier, bolt out, leave that, clean this. There's a plastic thing. So you could be a civil rights leader or a religious fanatic. If you've gotten too noisy, you're gone. We have many examples in our history throughout that demonstrate that. And now, even, we have drones that can hit you from miles away. We do. Whether you like it or not. Don't think for a second that Uncle Sam will not silence you if you're getting too loud. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm just saying that that's what it is. If you were going to fight capital G government, you were going to need to organize millions of us assholes and organize us around a common cause, and good luck with that. The government doesn't control you, corporations do. And corporations own the government. So, for better or worse. So no, you, me, we're not fighting the government, especially not by ourselves. But scrub. But even with 100 of you holed up on a ranch in the middle of nowhere, while that may be inconvenient for the people that live in that area in the middle of nowhere, it might be inconvenient for the people who want to control the land in that area, the government that wants to control the land in that area. Even 100 of you, you won't register even as a court docket in my city. I'm sorry. You, 100 of your friends, you're not going to overthrow the government unless you buy your way in. You know, you're not going to do it. I'm sorry. Your princess is in another castle. So, looking at the extractor here, looking at parts that I'm probably going to replace with aftermarkets, just to make it a little smoother, more reliable. Anyway, So, should I, or you, have access to bump stocks or binary triggers, if I'm saying that right or wrong, forgive me. Should we have access to equipment that lets us effectively fire like a machine gun, even though it's not a machine gun? Should we be allowed to access things that effectively fire like a machine gun and can kill dozens of people in a Las Vegas concert? Honestly, I don't really think so. Should I be allowed to have a pistol brace that lets me fire a pistol like a really awkward rifle? Maybe. If there are folks with disabilities that a pistol brace genuinely serves, yeah, they need to have access to that because they need to be able to defend themselves. And I will stand with you on that. But it's not really for me. It's not a good or bad thing. It just kind of is what is. But shooting an awkward rifle with a pistol brace is not my style, so I don't really care. But I should probably have access to it. That's kind of an iffy thing. But should I have access to basic 9mm semi-automatic carbine to protect myself against rampaging idiots that might want to do me harm? Or should I be able to, bag a meal in my local woods if the grocery store suddenly becomes empty, shelves suddenly become empty? Absolutely. And I think there's a clear-headed distinction between it's my right to own something that can kill many people in terribly unskilled hands versus something that would take skilled hands, training and effort to do way more harm to way more people. I hope that makes sense. Do I think that this little Ruger PC9 could be used to overthrow the government? Probably not. Could 100 billion of us with Ruger PC9s overthrow the government? I don't know. I'm not here for that. But I am for must-issued concealed carry permits. I think if you can pass the licensing and training requirements, and I think there should be licensing and training requirements, then the state must issue you these things. So much dirt. Like, there's so much stuff in my world that can do serious harm to a lot of people that I have to get training and licensing and insurance for, just for my day job, doing heating and air conditioning. So I'm okay with licensing and registration for concealed carry. But if I can jump the hoops, then I think the government should issue it. So Maryland Shout Issue is a group that I am interested in getting involved with. But that's kind of rambling. I hope that makes sense. Should civilians like me have access to military hardware or things that operate like military hardware? No. If we're going to overthrow the government, it's going to take a lot more to organize all of us. We will seize the military hardware when it comes to that, but that is a separate thing that has nothing to do with everyday carry kind of stuff. So anyway, you asked, did my best, kind of rambling to answer. Now my gun is in many pieces, but I finally have ammunition again. I found a store that had a box of 50 for $21 instead of the $50 from another store that I originally found it at. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and good luck out there. We are, even if you may radically disagree with me on so many political things, please understand that, and don't take this the wrong way, please understand I love you and I miss you, and I hope we can get together, and I really hope that we can share drinks and a meal and toss around ideas. Because the government and the large corporations that own it, they ain't for you and they ain't for me. So we're all we've got. And I think we could do some amazing things together. I can't wait to see you again soon. Be safe out there. Good luck.